Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Julia MEJIA, and this is the Holistic Alternative. And today is a really exciting day. It's our first show, and we are welcoming someone very special today, someone that I've known for a couple years that is an innovator in our industry. He has invented some really interesting products, and he's done a lot for the community. Today, we welcome Jim Berry from Berry Innovations and Mile High Cleaner. Good afternoon, Jim.
Well, thank you for having me. Good afternoon to you as well. I understand this is your first one, so I'm really proud to be a part of this. Thank you.
You're so welcome. It's an honor and a privilege to have you, and welcome to the show, Jim. I'm really excited to host you today. I know the audience is excited to be here and listen to a little bit about your history and how you got started with your company. So if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about that, I'd love to hear.
Well, I didn't really start off in the cannabis industry. I was actually a federal contractor for 32 years. Believe me, I'm much happier now.
Sure.
All I did was deal with the federal government, and of course, most of my profit went straight to my psychoanalyst. But over those 32 years, I did learn a lot because the government is very big on doing certain things like gathering information about toxic chemicals and things like that. And they taught me about the Clean Air Act and reducing toxins in the workplace and reducing VOCs and stopping the use of fossil fuel based cleaners. Well, all of this is very important. And after 32 years and 15 broken bones, a closed brain trauma, and 9 concussions, I ended up realizing that my health is more important than whether or not I had government contracts, and I decided to get my medical cannabis card. At that point, I realized there's going to be a problem. It centers around the idea that the cleaners that are used are the exact same chemicals and solvents that the federal government was telling me was toxic and should be reduced. It's an amazing thing. What? I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I know all about it. It's a crazy industry, and unfortunately, they don't always put people's health in perspective when you're handling cleaning objects.
That's true. As a matter of fact, it happens in a lot of different areas. But one of the things that was really amazing to me was how toxic some of these cleaners are that we don't realize. One of the big ones, obviously, is isopropyl alcohol, and that's what almost everyone uses to clean their bongs. And unfortunately, it's about a quarter of a bottle that they use to clean an average piece like this. Well, that's an awful lot compared to normal cleaners where you might go ahead and just use a little splash of this and you get 50 cleanings out of a bottle. You're getting 4 or 5 out of this. And on the bottle, I don't know if this will come through, but it actually says, use in well-ventilated area, fumes may be toxic.
Scary stuff, Jim.
It really was. It was kind of an eye-opener because these are the chemicals that are being used are being just basically, once you get done shaking it like a maniac, to clean out a basic bong piece, most people dump it down the sewer. And that ends up creating a lot more problems. And most people think, oh, isopropyl alcohol is just basically like water. But unfortunately, it's got some issues. And this is the New Jersey Department of Health hazardous substance fact sheet on isopropyl alcohol. And
That's
in this, it goes through a lot of different stuff. I mean, just going to read one or two little parts that I thought were amazing. The
okay.
following chronic long-term health effects can occur at some time after exposure to ISO and can last for months or years. Many solvents and other petroleum-based chemicals have been shown to cause such damage. Effects may include reduced memory and concentration, personality changes, withdrawal, irritability, fatigue, sleep disturbances, reduced coordination, and effects on the nerves supplying the internal organs, the autonomic nerves, and or the nerves to the arms and legs. And in this, it actually says not just once, do not wash into the sewer, but twice in capital letters, do not wash into the sewer. Yet that is exactly what most cannabis consumers do. I kind of
Absolutely.
realize that
It's a
there's a
scary
problem.
thing. Yeah, there's a lot of problems with that. And let's talk a little bit too about exposing your body during the cleaning process. Have you ever seen that wave come out when you're shaking the salt with the isopropyl alcohol, right? Let's talk a little bit about that in a lung
And
capacity.
and that's a very good point because it actually addresses that in the fact that if you're using isopropyl alcohol across the room and you can smell it, that's 22 parts per million airborne, which is a very small amount. It settles to the floor and it affects your dog and your children more than you. But if you're using it right in front of you and shaking your bong, well, that's at least 10 times more. So we're talking about 200 parts per million. But every so often you pour out, at the end of the shaking, you're going to end up pouring out the ISO into the sink. And I don't know about you, but I've gotten caught in that plume of ISO and it makes your eyes water and you can't breathe in the whole route. And that is at least 2,000 parts per million. And it says right here, exposure to 2,000 parts per million is immediately dangerous to life and health.
So that
Immediately dangerous.
it's disturbing. So you have worked in the government, you've seen both ends of it, you thought it was an issue. So let's talk about how you started inventing your products and making a difference in society.
Perfect. Well, there is a big thing, and I'm one of those guys. I'm not smart, but I'm really good at correlating things. And this is a dirty bong. This is actually one that I was smoking out of for the last 3 days. But there's something weird about this that nobody realized. We can see that there's absolute brown from here up, and literally the resin goes all the way to the top and all the way in there. But on every single bong, there is always a place that stays completely clean, and that's below the water line.
Now,
Now,
why?
that may seem like, duh, okay, that's not a big deal. But the reality is that told me that water is preferred to stick to resin instead of glass. So there is an option, a way to make things stick to resin that it prefers and leaves your glass alone.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So that version pushed you, just correlating and making those connections, pushed you to create your now product, which is Mile High Cleaner.
Yes, very much so. And Mile High Cleaner actually works a little bit differently than most other cleaners. And I'm going to kind of set up a little experiment for us here I'm going to take this piece and basically just, sorry, a little off camera there, pour it out. Now that's dirty and you can really see it. And if you were to shake this, it really wouldn't come off at all. But the technique for cleaning almost any piece is to use scrubbers, the correct detergent, and if you can, hot water. There's hot water. I'm going to take a little and pour it in here. Now, really what
Why
I'm
is it
doing is,
important to use hot water?
what's that?
Why is it important to use hot water? Let's talk a little bit about the chemistry behind the product that you've created and how it works.
Very good. Yes, the reason for the hot water is literally gooey moving resin is
Okay.
easier to clean than dry cold resin. So think about that. You've seen the old bongs that got dried out and it's got this layer on there and it's crusty and you could use a chisel on it and it still wouldn't go ahead and do anything. But if you're able to warm that up a little bit and get it a little gooey, all of a sudden you could technically wipe it off. But if you had the right cleaner, that might be more effective. So what I've done is just put in this hot water in here for a short time. Normally, I would want this to be in there for about a minute for this dirty of a bong. But if I were cleaning this thing on a daily basis, I'd already be ready to clean. But let's see what that would look like. I'm going to go ahead and pour that out. And now we've got an empty bong. And I'm just going to use the last of this bottle of my Mile High cleaner. And I'm going to squirt that in there.
Now this is
There was
completely
very
unique.
little in that. So that's all that's in there.
Okay.
Now I'm going to take this and all I'm doing is shaking it, not really to clean it, but to coat it.
Okay.
And there's going to be something really weird that you'd never seen before or realized. But again, when you look at this, it's kind of hard with that light. I'm going to change that one around a little. When you look at this, you can see that it's all ripply and coated up here, all the way down to here. But all of a sudden, below the water line, it's almost clear. I mean, you can almost see me through there, but through here, it's completely blocked. So what I'm showing you is the little legs of the formula as they gather at the bottom. And if you really look, you can actually see some of the resin already coming off because this formula is that color. In
Amazing. And
just those few seconds. What's that?
this is plant-based, correct? This is all completely organic and plant-based.
Completely organic, plant-based. So it is working with nature on our natural way to heal.
Okay.
Okay, so it's nature all the way around. There's no chemicals involved whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I'll do something a little later that's a little shocking. But already you can tell that what was brown all here is kind of not so brown. And if I go like that, well, guess what?
Wow.
All of that stuff has just melted away. And all of a sudden down here, that's the resin.
Wow, that's
And it
incredible.
didn't take much. Now, if you look at the stem, you can still see that there's a little bit right in that area. But again, it just comes right off. And there's one little spot that's going to be a pain, but
That's
right
okay.
there,
That's
but that's the way
incredible.
it always works. Yeah.
So
So
this
at this
is
point, yes,
about,
it still looks dirty, but that's what has happened is we've changed the resin so it's not sticky. We did it in a way that resin wants to be treated. So if you think about it, burnt resin loses an ion and it becomes negatively charged. Mile High Cleaner is positively charged. They actually want to get together and leave the glass alone. So now
amazing.
that it's to this point, it is super simple to wash it as if we would normally do with detergent. And literally, whoa, almost lost that thing. This is much easier if you do this at the sink, by the way. But it gives you an idea. Okay, there we go. It's dirty looking. I'm going to set this over here and just if I can do this high enough, you can see.
Wow. Just coming off really easy.
There's no residue.
Incredible. Incredible. I'm a huge fan. I mean, these are the only white label products that we carry through my company and Holistic Hemp Solutions. Incredible, Jim. So how did you think of this idea and this concept, and how have you been improving the world with your product? Let's talk a little bit about that. That's important.
Well, let's start with how it improves the world, because if it's just another same old toxic cleaner, that's going to be a problem. We're trying to get rid of that stuff, not use more of it or introduce a new kind. And this is the bottle that I just used, and there is just a little bit left in this. And I don't know whether this will come off well on the video, but this is how safe Mile High Cleaner can be. Did that show up at all?
It did. And you know what? You're famous for your amazing videos, and people have commented, thousands and thousands of people have watched you eat your product. And it's just incredible that you stand behind it so much. I mean, I use it daily on my bong at home and other things. There's other uses for this product as well. Let's talk a little bit about that. What other uses can you use your product on other than resin remover?
Well, it will work pretty well on almost any kind of resin. So that means things like the barbecue grill, stuff
Okay.
like that. But the one that threw me off completely is my sister, who is a major Harley Davidson rider, and she has a big honking bike and she cruises everywhere. It's got a great big fairing on it, and she puts on 30, 40,000 miles a year. And that thing gets coated with bugs.
Wow.
Mile High Cleaner actually removes it very well, and she swears by it and won't clean her bike without Mile High Cleaner. We've actually had another guy that gave up his standard gun cleaning oil because not only does Mile High Cleaner work at least as well as that, it has zero smell compared to the gun cleaning oil, which it really stinks. And he said he couldn't use the gun cleaning oil on his wood stock of the rifle because that would cause problems. Well, Mile High Cleaner on finished wood is perfectly safe. So it works on all of that.
That's incredible, Jim. I'm so excited that you're here today and you're talking about your products. What are some of your other products that you've been working on? Because I know Mile High Cleaner isn't the only one.
Well, actually, I've got a new one that's kind of different, and I'm going to take my headset off to show this to you. Hang on just a second. I'm sure you're not going to be able to hear me as well. I'm big into bicycling. And one of the problems that we have during the summer is the fact that there are millions of bugs. So the problem is that you don't want to have a mesh kind of covering your head because you'd look like a robber. You don't want to have mesh covering your helmet because it would block all the holes and make for less airflow. You want to have something that you can apply very easily. Oops, let me go there. I keep pulling from the wrong side here.
I love it.
I'm watching myself do this, and I'm doing it wrong because I'm watching. Okay, so you just
so it's an attachment for your bike helmet to prevent bugs and different things.
First time it hasn't gone on perfectly. Okay,
that's
right there.
You're doing it live, Jim. This is great.
Place. And of course, this is the prototype. Once you put it on, you lock it in, and now you can lift it up to take a drink.
Incredible.
Or back down. And this is very specifically for riding along the riverfront trail or something like that. So it makes it. The other day, I was doing the test with this prototype, and as I'm riding along, I'm feeling the bugs hitting my arms, but not hitting my face. And I'm actually giggling while I'm riding because the bugs were no longer a problem and I didn't get any in my ears. So it's amazing.
I'm
Um,
very excited. And what about the Goo Gone and some of the other products that, you know, the liquid products that you've been working on?
okay, well, let's go on to that because some of the things that we're talking about. Let's start with the Canamag. Now, what I showed you originally was a brush. It was known as the triple brush, and I can use the triple brush to scrub inside a bong. And if you
Yeah.
listen, you can hear it's actually scrubbing, but this is specifically made to get past the ice catchers. So you put two of those in there, and then it's boom, 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 and you have just scrubbed right where the ice catchers are. Now, in addition to that, it's made so that you can bend the brush in this form,
Okay.
fit it in, and scrub all the way around. Okay, so that works very well, but a lot of people have percolated bongs
Like mine.
or tubes or things like that. Well, this is actually the Canamag scrubber, and it is made with two different shuttles. This is the smaller one, and the small one is made to be able to go up into other areas and scrub them.
That is
So
my
I can
favorite
get,
part.
what's that?
That's my favorite part of the cleaning kits is the Magna scrubber because you know you have the big end for bigger pieces of your bong that you need to get removed, and then the smaller pieces are for those finite spaces for your intricate bong, you know, sections that you normally can't reach.
Exactly that. Yes. And I seem to have set aside my other magnet. It's probably because it snapped into something, but this is the standard magnet, and it's
Okay.
about the size of a pencil eraser, and it will still fit in almost every part of your piece. But this is the powerful one. It's almost enough to pick up this glass. So it is made with a little hole in it specifically so that as you're scrubbing along, it'll gather a little bit of the formula in the hole and distribute it. And it has a sharper edge to actually skive off the resin, which is a heck of a lot better than trying to shake salt and ISO.
Let's talk
So,
about Let's talk
okay,
about shaking. What does shaking do, Jim? Because you and I both know a lot of people still clean their bongs that way. And I've never found
mhm.
it to be effective. So I'd love to talk to you about what happens when we shake ISO and salt.
Well, that's a really good question because what we're talking about is filling up a portion of the piece, throwing in a handful of salt. Now, if I threw this handful of salt at you at the hardest rate that I possibly could, it would tickle. Now, if I took and threw this brush at you as hard as I could put your eye out. So you're getting a lot more movement out of a brush than you will ever get out of shaking this. I mean, I could do this all day long, and it won't even show wear. But if you go ahead and scrub with a brush for a couple of minutes on paint, you'll wear things off. And this is really how we clean everything. If you think about it, there's cleaners out there, and all cleaners have a purpose and an associated tool. Now, this is spick and span. It's a surface cleaner, so it's on floors. It could be on countertops or something like that. So on the floors, we're using a scrubber, and we're diluting this by quite a bit. And the thing that worries me about this is these are the actual active ingredients, and it's a very thin list, and each one of them is 0.015% or so. 0.015. That means out of this bottle, which it's a 12-ounce bottle, so that's about 6,000 drops.
Right.
In total, there's less than 60 drops of cleaner in here. So that's really a small amount. And for that, they have caution, and they do all kinds of talks about how bad this is for you. Well, that's 60 drops of bad.
Oh, we know. I mean,
This
I used to
this
use
is
the other. product, with the crystallization in there. We're not going to mention names. I don't want to blow any company up, but when I read what the crystals were, I was horrified and was wondering why every time I would clean my bong that I'd feel sick afterwards.
Yes, very much so, because as it says, fumes may be toxic. Well, they're not joking. Really, when you think about it, that has to be the worst marketing ploy ever. To be able to say on your package, "Hey, we're toxic." Ha! But it's a lot better than asbestos that had to pay $30 billion to go ahead and take care of not putting on there what they should have put on there. So the choice is kind of, you can lie about it and sell a few bottles and pay later, or you can tell the truth and say it's toxic. And that's one of the funny things. I want you to think about this, because I don't think stoners realize this. So if it says fumes may be toxic, and somebody uses it to clean their bong by shaking it like a maniac for hours on end, and they eventually end up with, okay, so isopropyl alcohol is a mutagen, which means it changes your DNA. And that worked out great for Spider-Man, but for real people, it's actually that the liver cell that is changed slightly no longer fits in, so it breaks away and floats around your system as a free radical until it finds a place to attach, and then it becomes a tumor,
Correct. Or
precursor
developing
to
cancer.
tumors. In cancer, yes. So that's it's the progressive steps. So all of this kind of thing is building up toxins inside you. The more
Right.
you're inhaling it, the more you're exposed to it, the worse it is. Well, what's the only way to make sure that you aren't exposed to something? Don't use it.
I
You may
agree.
be exposed from somebody down the street, because guess what? They're releasing it into the air as well. But when you're talking about something like this, where the fumes may be toxic, it's doing a lot more than even being released into the air, because it's a VOC.
Right.
VOCs, volatile organic compounds, are actually really, really bad for the atmosphere. They actually mix with the nitrogens and form ground level ozone. And ground level ozone kills about 1 million people worldwide a year. Now, the reality is that gasoline is the biggest contributor to ground level ozone, and that makes sense. But isopropyl alcohol is a major contributor. And we're not talking about the exhaust from a gas engine or something like that. We're talking about the fumes inside the gas tank. So if you've ever been to California, you might have noticed that the gas pump has a extra hose on it that marries up to your tank. And as you pump gas in, the vapor coming out gets trapped, so it does not it's not released into the atmosphere. The amount of vapor in a gas tank, which is, it's a 20-gallon gas tank, it's a certain size.
Yep.
If you condense that back down into liquid, it'd be a couple of ounces. But we're using 8 ounces to clean a bong. So that's like filling your tank 4 times. That's the toxicness that's being released into the atmosphere every time you use this, because when you rinse it away, that doesn't mean it's gone. It means it's gone from you.
Right.
Matter can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be changed. This
Correct.
is a liquid changing into a gas, which is a vapor, which is what the problem is. And it will always change into a liquid, from a liquid into a gas, because it's a highly evaporative thing called VOC.
For
And
sure.
if you've heard VOCs before, you might have heard, low VOC carpeting, low VOC adhesives. So there are companies out there and government and the whole route trying hard as they can to reduce the amount of VOCs, and we're dumping it in liquid form.
It's disturbing, Jim. I appreciate you divulging further on the topic. And, we have a really interesting video here that you submitted that kind of goes a little bit further for your cleaning demonstration and explanations live on this video. So let's take a look here.
In a recent survey, we found most people, if given a choice, would prefer cleaning the toilet over cleaning the bong. Thousands of bongs are getting cleaned, and we hate every second of it.
Yet all cleaners work the exact same way as ISO. That is why they don't sell. It is still the same old shaking and waiting, but at a much higher price with similar results.
Using 1/4 of a bottle of a fossil fuel-based solvent and then just dumping it into the sewers is not only illegal but harmful as well. The future is to clean daily, the same as eating from clean plates, drinking from clean glass. And the next generation deserves better than having millions of gallons of toxic chemicals dumped into the environment from bomb cleaners.
Mile High works in a whole new way that checks all the boxes.
Mile High is effective. Plant-based formula works better, yet costs less than ISO. The organic, biodegradable plant oils and glycerides are inert, kills germs, molds, bacteria, microbes, and fungus, yet is food-grade edible safe, while easily cleaning resin. Our odorless, natural plant compounds work incredibly well, but is also renewable, sustainable, and uses significantly less cleaner.
This demonstration of sticky resin on wax paper may be absurd. It demonstrates how effective Mile High is against resin. In addition, how efficient, as one drop was more than enough to clean all the resin, instead of using mass quantities of ISO. So safe and mild, the wax paper is undamaged.
Daily cleaning is healthy, but is currently unachievable because cleaning by shaking chemicals causes personal and environmental damage. Shaking chemicals is not a way to clean. Help save the world by using Mile High Cleaner. Change resin so it is not sticky and is easily washed away. A small squirt cleans most daily hitters in less than 2 minutes using tools to scrub, the same way we clean everything else. The magnetic scrubber has the strongest neodymium magnets that are coated to protect glass and come in 2 sizes for even the trickiest accessible water pipes. Mile High is extremely effective. Our odorless, organic formula kills germs, but is so safe you could drink it.
We have several cleaning kits available, including dab drops for taking dab and resin stains from clothing. The best kit is for all paraphernalia and includes the 16-inch triple brush and the Canamag magnetic scrubber. Bond Goo prevents resin in water pipes.
Stop resin before it sticks. Bond Goo prevents resin from sticking to the glass in any water pipe or rig. Add 10 drops to the water and get it dirty. The next day, rinse with hot water for a clean and odor-free piece. Repeat daily for the best hits. This is the fastest, easiest, and cheapest way to keep any water pipe clean. 15 cents a day and 15 seconds of rinsing in hot water and shaking. Bond Goo stops resin in any water pipe, rig, bubbler, or bong. 100% made from plants. Organic, odorless, and food-grade edible safe. Kills microbes, keeping the water germ-free for 24 hours.
See what independent reviewer Run THC had to say.
The following is an unpaid review by an independent and trusted source. This is an honest and unsolicited review with no money or benefit to the reviewers.
Well, you know, it did change my life forever.
I want to show you the scrubber first because I think it's brilliant. So I drop it in, right?
Mm-hmm.
I take this.
Oh, yes. Like getting in
Look
those
at
nooks.
the difference.
I want to do it.
Please.
It's just wiping right off.
I'm telling you, this is an infomercial lover's dream. You can see already. This shit works.
Oh no, this shit works. And I'm like, actually, this is funny. I'm enjoying this.
Right?
Like, this is almost like, get that, get in there looking creamy.
It's very therapeutic and cathartic.
The other thing is, when it comes out, the resin isn't sticking to my fingers.
I'd take all these brushes, which I love the design of. I'm not going to lie. I love that I have this many options, and I'm going to clean it. And to see the after is incredible, that if we put this inside our bong with water, it can serve as a preventative as well.
It's interesting because when we were looking at the Peace Water, what did I say?
You wanted it to mix with water.
I wanted something I could just drop in. You might have had me at hello with this. With that, this stuff actually eats up whatever that sticky part is, that resin. It just, the gumminess is gone.
And it's not harmful. And that's the part that, you know, so much of what we do, there's tons of cleaners out there, and I've heard people talk about them and they're like, yeah, I used this one cleaner, but we had to open the windows. Nobody wants to be breathing that in. We're already doing enough damage to ourselves with all of our other habits.
Yeah.
The other thing that I want to make sure that we mention is that the brushes and all the tools have a lifetime warranty. So if you need those replaced, they will replace your tools for you.
This literally has a lifetime warranty.
Literally, they will replace.
The preceding was an unpaid review of Mile High Cleaner. All statements have been verified. Mile High has won awards for Best bong cleaner of the year. Sustainable cleaning product of the year. Best organic bong cleaner. Best cannabis resin cleaner. The Rignia seal of approval as a trusted cannabis product. Mile High Cleaner is private labeled by 11 companies such as Greengrass Trimmers and Glass Blunts. This product works better, costs less, and is completely natural, plant-based, organic, odorless, and safe, yet it costs less than ISO per use. If you have made it this far, you must realize the value of the deluxe cleaning kit. If you still think shaking toxic solvents like ISO good, you may want to get checked for toxicity levels, mental instability, or poor decision-making skills.
Dude, cut back on the sativa.
Amazing, Jim. I love it. That's a great video. And Jim, we're getting down to the last 5 minutes. So I really want to just talk with people about where they can find your products, how they can get in contact with you to support. These products are just incredible. I stand behind them. I carry them myself. Where else can people grab your products?
Well, currently we're based out of Grand Junction, Colorado, which means almost all the smoke shops around here, they're all stocking it. Unfortunately, after that, we kind of fall off a little bit because it is amazingly hard to convince people not to use the isopropyl alcohol. So at that point, it's at milehighcleaner.com. And we have all of the products, including, we mentioned on there a little bit about the dab drops. And I wanted to share this with you. Dab drops are specifically for preventing resin or taking dab and resin stains from fabric.
Okay.
And this particular shirt, you can see it's got a bunch of signatures on it.
Yep.
And 2 years ago at the 420 celebration, we had everybody smear some resin or dab onto this shirt on this side, and then had them sign on this side. And that's how well dab drops work to clean off all 100 resin stains. Didn't work on the other stuff, but it definitely took out the resin. So
That's amazing.
yes, Mile High Cleaner. So we're at the website, and we have a special going on. This is going to run for the next month or so after this airs. And it's actually a 50% off deal on the deluxe cleaning kit. Now, the deluxe cleaning kit is kind of unusual. It does come with the triple brush, which we've already seen in there, plus a whole handful of other brushes.
Yep.
It comes with the Canamag magnetic scrubber, like we had, plus an entire bottle of cleaner. And this is the last thing I kind of wanted to say is most people look at that bottle of cleaner and think that that's a sample bottle, especially when you compare it up to how big the isopropyl alcohol is. Well, this particular bottle gets approximately 50 cleanings of an average piece out of a bottle. This gets 5, so you would need 10 bottles of this to equal 1 bottle of this.
Oh, I agree. You only need a few drops and it really works, you guys. So please reach out to Jim at Mile High Cleaner. He's a phenomenal human being and his products really work and they're clean and organic and safe for the entire family. So get rid of the crap that you're using with the chemicals and the exposure for the environment. And let's go green and organic. You already are doing green stuff, so you might as well support that as well. So Jim, thank you so much for being on the show. We got about 2 minutes left till we wrap up. Is there anything else you'd like to tell America, the world right now? This is a global platform, and we're so excited to have you.
Well, I kind of would like to mention the fact that it is small amounts of toxic chemicals that are all around you. If you have been paying attention, you know that things are, most things have some toxicity to them. And it's the repeated exposure and layer upon layer of these things that are a problem. And like if you were to take a regular glass, and after it came out of the dishwasher and put a little bit of water in and just have it up to this and swirl it real hard, you'll find that it still has foam in the bottom of the glass. That means we're drinking those chemicals. Every time you shampoo or use a spray or do something like that, there's micro bits all in the air that you're inhaling. The chlorine in your water turns to steam before water does. So you're inhaling more chlorine at certain times of the year at certain temperatures. all of these things add up. We need to reduce them to be able to survive.
Thank
So-
you, Jim. I appreciate you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure to have you. Everyone, please reach out to Jim Berry. His products really work. And thank you so much for tuning in today to our first show. It's going to be an exciting platform. We are on every Monday, on the third Monday of the month, and we look forward to seeing you for July. Have a beautiful day, everyone.